More than half of people in the US who earn $100,000 per year still claim to live paycheck to paycheck, and that's the same for a quarter of people in the UK who earn £100,000. Why is it that so many people who earn a six-figure salary still struggle to save anything each month? In this video, I'm going to cover 3 reasons for why high earners can still feel financially insecure and how you can save and grow your wealth without needing to earn a six-figure salary or more. If you're new to this channel, I'm Matt. I've been a finance consultant for over 10 years. I've worked for one of the top consulting companies in London. I now run my own company, and on this channel I talk all things personal finance. So let's get going with the video. The first point is on lifestyle inflation. This is where as you earn more money, you spend more money, and then you end up not being able to save anything additional each month. A study by Bankrate showed that the more income someone made, the more income they felt they needed to be financially comfortable and rich. People who earn under $50,000 per year said they needed to earn $184,000 to feel financially comfortable and $406,000 to feel financially rich, whereas people earning $100,000 or more said they needed to earn $341,000 to feel financially comfortable and a staggering $600,000 per year to feel financially rich. You're always going to want more money than you have, and upgrading your lifestyle as your income goes up can be a financial trap that's really easy to fall into. For example, you get a higher salary, so you want to move to a nicer neighbourhood, and then you might see neighbours with flashy cars or expensive furniture, and then you think that you need to upgrade yours to be able to fit in. This cycle keeps growing, and each time the new lifestyle becomes the new normal for you. Sometimes these can be small things, but once they're part of your lifestyle, it's difficult after this to cut back on your expenses. You want to avoid lifestyle inflation as much as possible, as you don't want the upgrades and increases in your expenses to erode the additional money that you're making, as it removes your ability to save anything additional each month. I've got a couple of tips on how you can avoid lifestyle inflation. The first is the concept of paying yourself first, which Robert Kiyosaki talks about in his book called Rich Dad, Poor Dad. The concept is that instead of having the mindset of, I get my income, I pay my bills, I spend on the things that I want, and then I see what's left at the end of the month to save, which in reality is usually nothing. For rich people, they have a different mindset. And that is, when income comes in, the first thing they do is put a chunk of it to one side and invest it, and then they manage their expenses and their costs of living to be within the remaining amount of money they have left. One tip to help with consistency in your saving and investing is to automate it by setting up a direct transfer each month when your pay comes in. That way you always budget for and set aside an amount to save and invest each month. The second point is to pay off any high interest debt that you have, such as credit card debt, car loans or personal loans. If you pay for your lifestyle in this way, then it can be very difficult to build your savings and your wealth whilst you've got high interest debt, as it usually costs more to borrow money than you get back in returns from saving. For example, if you have $2,000 of savings at a 4% annual interest, you would earn $80 over a year. But if you also had $2,000 of credit card debt and it's at a 22% interest, then it would cost you $440 over that same year. High interest debt is always going to grow faster than savings, so pay it off first, and then once it's cleared, then you can start building your savings. If you have any, start by listing any debts with an interest rate of greater than 7% and pay back the highest interest first. The second reason why high earners can be broke is due to the income versus cost of living challenge. You might have someone who's earning $100,000 but they live in a high cost of living location like San Francisco, New York or London, and their living expenses are taking up 70 to 80% of their income, compared to someone who could be earning the same amount of money but living in an area where their living expenses are only 40 to 50% of their income. The second person has twice as much as the first person left over at the end of each month. A lot of high-paying jobs are based in areas where the cost of living is also very high. For example, tech jobs in Silicon Valley or finance jobs in New York or London. The issue with living in these areas is that it takes a lot more money to have a decent lifestyle when compared to having a similar standard of living outside of these areas. So having a high salary in a high cost of living location doesn't automatically translate into feeling rich or financially secure. In order to be able to save and invest to grow your wealth, try to keep your need-related costs at no more than 50 to 60% of your income. These are fixed costs like rent or mortgage, utility bills, your day-to-day food and transportation, as well as any other costs that make up your essential living expenses. If your fixed costs are taking up more than 60% of your income, then you should look at what you're spending on and how you could reduce those costs. For example, could you negotiate a lower rent deal by agreeing to a longer tenancy period with your landlord? Or could you use a comparison website to switch to a lower cost provider for your utility bills? Another thing to consider is that if your job is flexible and allows you to base yourself remotely, or only requires you to go into the office once or twice a week or a few times a month, then it might be worth thinking about living in a lower cost location where you could get a larger property, maybe a garden, and a lower cost lifestyle while still earning the same income. Or if moving is not an option for you, then you could see with your employer if you can increase the number of days that you work from home so you can save on those commute costs. The key overall point here is that in order to be able to save and invest to grow your wealth, you need your income to be higher than your living expenses. The third reason why high earners can feel financially insecure is if they don't focus on building long-term wealth. Many high earners don't buy wealth-generating assets. Instead, they buy physical possessions like expensive designer clothes, sports cars, or electronics. But these things don't help to grow your wealth. If you look at some of the wealthiest people in the world, people like Elon Musk, Bill Gates, Warren Buffett, they own assets such as businesses or rental property, and their wealth grows from the value of the assets increasing and also from the assets generating income. The income they then receive is reinvested in buying more assets, and that cycle keeps compounding, growing the size and value of their assets and wealth. So once your fixed costs are within your means and not exceeding 60% of your income, the next step is to try to save and invest between 15 and 20% of your income into your pension and investments. By saving in terms of a percentage of your income, it means that when you make more money, you automatically save more too, and you can use this money to then invest and buy assets to build your long-term wealth. If you haven't already done so, then start by opening a tax-free investment account, such as a Roth IRA if you're in the US, or a stocks and shares ISA if you're in the UK. The money that you put in should have already been taxed, but the investments can grow in the accounts tax-free. Start investing as early as you can with whatever you can put aside, even if it's only small amounts at first, as time and compound interest are so important with investing. The other thing to do, if available to you, is to maximize any employer match pension scheme opportunities. In the US, you have 401k match, and in the UK, you have similar pension benefits where your employer will match what money you put into your pension. So for every $1 or £1 that you pay into your work pension, your employer will match this and add another $1 or £1 on top. This is typically up to a certain percentage threshold of your salary. So for example, if your employer had a 5% match scheme and you were earning a gross pre-tax salary of £4,000 per month, that would mean that you would add £200 per month into your pension, and your employer would add an additional £200, making it £400 in total per month being added to your pension. It basically doubles your investment, which not many investments can do, and your contributions are pre-tax, so your money can grow tax-free until withdrawal. I understand being able to save 15 to 20% of your income is not always easy to do, particularly with the recent increased cost of living that we've seen. So this might be a savings target that you build towards as your income goes up over time. You don't necessarily need to be a high earner to do the tips that I've shared in this video. You can be at any income level, and these steps will help you to grow your wealth. Being rich isn't about making a lot of money on its own. It's being smart with what you have, managing it in a way that you can build wealth and to experience things that are fulfilling for you too. I hope this video has been helpful. Feel free to leave any comments, give the video a like and subscribe to my channel. I'll see you on the next video.